AITA for showing my kids the bills? My 48F friend, 45F, have kids around the same age, 2 teenagers each. Last time I spoke to her, it was before a party we were both going to that she said her daughter was probably going to make her late to because she was taking a long time in the shower. I told her that my kids used to take showers too, until we started showing them the water bill and, at least one of them, started taking shorter showers so it wouldn't cost as much. Personally, I don't see showing them as a bad thing because sometimes they do need to see how much they're costing us as parents. My friend responded that I was making them anxious. I thought that was a bit of a leap, as I talk about a lot about how much their clothes/food/other wants cost openly. And me and my husband make a pretty good living too. So we started debating about it for a bit until we dropped it. This has been lingering on my mind for a bit, so posting to see if I'm the AH. AITA for asking my husband to take our son to the hospital with him while on bed rest for serious knee injury. 48 hours ago my left knee began swelling severely to about the size of a softball. I received emergency care during this first visit, having the excess fluid drained, being given a splint to keep my knee from bending, as well as muscle relaxers and strong pain relief. Less than 24 hours later my knee has swollen again to the same size. We head back into the ER and my knee is drained again. I am given pain relief and told I am not to walk at all. I am then told they would like to admit me but have no bed, so I am to be admitted next morning. We are a military family currently stationed abroad, so we need referrals for continued care after emergency care. Our hospital on post is not equipped to continue my care. It is very small. We are directed to receive referrals and go off post. That brings us to this morning. My husband wakes me up and says he is going to run to the hospital to work on my referral. I ask him to please take our 3-year-old son with him, as he hates sitting still, being cooped up in our bedroom even with screen time, and he's only 3, very natural, he wants to play. He doesn't always do so safely, which is okay because he is only 3 and doesn't know better. I am also taking meds that make me quite drowsy. Couple that with the lack of sleep due to pain and not being able to get comfortable, I know as a parent it is not safe. My husband says to me so I am not to leave the house ever without my son, quite angrily. I again explain about my condition, bed rest, and fear that if something is to happen I cannot walk to help him, and if I do I will worsen my AITA for hogging my foster sister. 6 months ago, my parents started fostering a little girl, Ellie, 7, with some health issues. She's tiny, maybe 3.5 feet and 40 pounds, and new people freak her out. She's still adjusting to being part of a big family. I, 26F, have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. One of my sisters is married, and both of my brothers have their GFS around. My mom was a nurse at the hospital that Ellie was taken to. Once we took her home, my mom went down to part-time and I shifted my schedule to be home with her when my mom's at work. When she's not feeling good she gets clingy with me. We went on vacation last week and I don't know why but her tummy was hurting her the entire time we were there, so we spent most of the trip curled up on the couch with a bunch of blankets and stuffies, watching K-pop Demon Hunters over and over. My brother's girlfriend, Stacy, is obsessed with kids and babies and keeps trying to insert herself with Ellie. She asked Ellie if she wants to go to the pool, the park, the lake, if she wants her to do her hair, if she can watch K-pop Demon Hunters with us, etc. all week. Ellie only wants me and my mom to go anywhere near her when she's not feeling good, and I told Stacy this all week. When we went home, I noticed Stacy was pretty upset. I asked what's wrong and she told me it's ridiculous that I was hogging Ellie all week and that I'm not the only person in her family. My mom got involved and told Stacy that she could either stop whining or she could find another way home. She was quiet for the rest of the way back. Then we got home and Stacy started complaining again that I was hogging the baby. My mom and I agreed that Stacy will know. AITA for not allowing my sister's dogs loose in my new car. I, 21F, and my sister 19F, are going to Thanksgiving at our Nana's next month. She lives in a small town in Missouri about 3 hours away. My sister doesn't have a driver's license, car, or a job. So it was implied I would be taking her with me. I was fine with that. My sister brought it up to me that she would be bringing her 2 dogs with her. She immediately added that they will be free roaming in the car before I could say anything to the first statement. I told her I would not be okay with that because it's a brand new car and one of her 2 dogs is very misbehaved. They are both smallish dogs that are about 20 pounds each. I told her I'm fine with having them in crates, secured in the trunk. I drive a new Toyota RAV4. So is plenty of space for some roomy crates and there's plenty of airflow. She told me I can't expect her to make her do that to her dogs. I told her that, yes, in fact I can. It's my car and your free ride to grandma's. She told me I will let them free roam. I told her she doesn't get to decide that. She then says, I'm not telling you, I'm demanding you. Her dogs literally start fighting while we are talking. I tell her you can find a ride then. She then tells me to leave and go back to my apartment. Ida? TLDR, my sister demands I let her dogs free roam in my brand new car and is being super unreasonable. Edit, to be more clear, yes, my Nana is aware the dogs will be coming. The car is an SUV, so the trunk is not closed off from the cabin at all. The dogs will be visible from the back seat. I have cloth seats that would just be. AITA for not bringing anything to my coworker's chill hangout and now being called a freeloader. Ida? So a few weeks ago, one of my coworkers invited me, and a few others, over to his place over text to come chill. He said to come over around 2 p.m., so I figured it would be a super casual hangout and not a full-on party. I didn't bring any alcohol because I wasn't planning to drink that early in the day. When I got there, everyone else was having beers, so I accepted one from a coworker and later Venmo'd him for it. Everything seemed fine. We hung out, talked, and I thought it went well. What I didn't realize was that this chill was actually more of a cookout. He grilled a bunch of meat for everyone, but I didn't eat since I had dinner plans later with my girlfriend. Nobody said anything about it at the time, so I figured no big deal. Fast forward to now and he's hosting a Halloween party and told me I could come. But the way he said it was kind of patronizing, like you should really bring something this time, maybe beer, candy, or chips. I took it as him being a little irritated, so I apologized for not bringing anything before and explained that I didn't know it was a cookout. Then I found out through other coworkers that he's been telling people I never bring anything to parties and basically calling me a freeloader. Multiple people have mentioned it, so clearly he's been talking. Now I feel awkward about the Halloween party. I don't want to seem like I'm overcompensating by bringing a lot of food and beer, but I also don't want to prove his point. AITA for not bringing anything to the first hangout? And what should I bring to the Halloween party to make things right? Can a landlord actually fine you for excessive noise if you live above a bar? Location, New York. My landlord sent a warning saying I might be charged for excessive nighttime noise. Thing is, the noise isn't me. It's the bar under my apartment. I literally sit in bed most nights, play Grizzly's Quest, and still hear bass shaking the walls. They're saying it's from my activities, but I barely talk after 10 p.m. Is there any way to dispute or document this before it escalates? I don't want to get blamed for something I can't control. I tried PayPigs in order to survive/make ends meet. New account for anonymity. I'm F19 and find myself in a really bad position. I'm $550 in debt because of medical bills after a very serious concussion plus broken leg, which also knocked me out my job, so I lost my stream of income but still had to pay medical bills. My parents are also in severe debt themselves and never really were any help for anything, so I couldn't turn to them. And my friends are all starving students too, so to speak. Since I couldn't work my job, and no other more remote places I tried applying to would take me, I turned to Twitter to maybe sell feet pics, YK, the stereotype. I didn't sell any, but it led me to a whole new world of pay pigs. Men who pay girls because they'd get off on it to be financially controlled. I posted pics of my body, my PayPal, and got scammed by people who I thought would pay me simply for existing. So far I've not made a buck and in fact lost $20. Signing up to a website to do freelancing, I feel so ashamed. Before any people who are in this community come here, I am sorry for thinking it was easy to join. I notice the community is very guarded and quick to judge newcomers, especially if they just want a quick buck. I'm sorry. Edit. People saying $550 isn't a lot. I need to pay it off by tomorrow or else I will have to see a judge, which can affect my place in university. Edit 2. This is not me trying to find any other pay pig or someone to pay me. I don't want to exploit myself anymore. Edit 3. I know this is Reddit and people here generally have no filter, but there aren't any other websites where I can rant like this. And people are being very mean, mocking me and being rude about me as a... Last night I humiliated myself in front of my parents and their reaction broke me. My parents kicked me out a few months ago and last night after work, I went to their house to beg them to let me sleep in my room for just a few nights. I told them I could just come to sleep after work and leave early in the morning so that they don't have to see my face, and they said no. I don't even know why I tried because they made it clear that they wanted nothing to do with me when they kicked me out after finding out that I was bi. They didn't want me influencing my little brother. They were so cold and unmoved when I was begging them to let me stay just a few nights with tears in my eyes. It was really humiliating to be turned away by my own parents, but it's my own fault because I should know better. I was so hopeful on my way there, thinking of the possibility of sleeping on my bed in my room and not have to worry about my safety or the cold for just a few nights, and maybe my parents realizing they made a mistake, apologizing and allowing me to move back in. But that's clearly not going to happen. I am on my own, and the sooner I make peace with that, the better. Edit. I'm not a minor. I'm 19.
My dog and I both experienced a glitch today. My wife wasn't expected to be home any earlier than 1800, so when she pulled into the driveway at 17:30, my dog and I were both surprised. At first, my dog did her usual happy dance that Mama was home, then suddenly froze and barked. I saw her work van come up the driveway, then saw her go to the mailbox, then start walking up to the door through a slit in the blinds. But she never made it to the door. I checked the camera, nothing there, no record of the event. I texted my wife. She was still about 45 minutes away. When she got home, my dog again reacted with her happy dance but didn't freeze and bark this time. I once again saw the van pull up, the wife go to the mailbox, and her walking up to the door, only this time she walked in the door. Deja vu? Glitch in the Matrix?
My GF partially owns a house and wants to sell, but there is a lifetime resident who wants to sell it on their own without her. Location, Kentucky. My girlfriend has 1/3 ownership of a house that she acquired through a will. In the will her aunt was listed as a lifetime resident, but not an owner. My girlfriend was living in the house up until about a year ago. Since then, no one has lived in the house and she has been behind quite a bit in property taxes. She wants to sell the house with the other owners, but her aunt, lifetime resident, also wants to sell the house on her own independently of my GF and the other owners. We have reason to believe she wants to claim the property has been abandoned. This situation is really confusing and I'm just looking to get some basic advice on what steps we should take, or just in general know how screwed my GF is in this situation. Small update, my GF has been trying to get in touch with the other two owners so she can get them on the same page about finding a good lawyer to help with the situation. Other info that I wasn't super clear about, the property was acquired about 5 years ago. My GF, her brother, and their cousin are the owners of the property. The aunt hasn't lived there in some time over 2 years. My GF was the only one who paid taxes, but is behind on taxes because she has been unable to afford paying. My wife's work is threatening retaliation if she doesn't come to work when the schedule changes. Location, Wisconsin. My wife is a nurse at a nursing home run by the county. She was told by her employer that if they change the schedule last minute and force her to work that she must work that shift or they will inform the nursing licensing board that she abandoned her duty. They say this will cause her to lose her nursing license. I can understand why they don't want a nurse or any healthcare provider leaving their shift if something unexpected happens and someone doesn't come into work in order to replace them. The problem is my wife isn't at work and she was never scheduled to work. Is this legal? How is this not slavery with extra steps? How would my wife verify if her work is capable of doing something like this? Edit, after talking to my wife I found out my understanding of the issue was a misunderstanding. My wife is currently working to become a nurse practitioner. She is going to be doing clinicals soon. She can decline working if asked. The issue is if she is working a shift and is asked to work longer. She needs to stay, but she also might need to cancel clinicals because of getting asked to work later than expected. I am deeply sorry for the misunderstanding. Stole from work and used boss's credit card to better myself. In the early 90s I worked as a junior admin at a very large financial firm. I was taking night classes at CUNY and really strapped for cash as I wasn't paid well. The great thing about my job is that I got to eat for free because the bosses always had bagels and sandwiches brought in and it was my job to pick up the food. I used company funds to buy groceries for myself and stocked up my fridge in my apartment. I also bought my school books and used my boss's credit card to buy clothes when he asked me to buy something for his wife. I bought winter coats, gloves, warm boots, etc. I couldn't have survived without stealing. For the whole time I worked at that job, I was able to pay for school, pay my rent and save a little, because my food, clothing, and transportation needs were met from the stealing. They never caught on because I was the most overlooked person in the office. I was like a little mouse no one noticed. Later when I graduated and moved up in the world, I always helped the admins wherever I worked. I'd let them leave early if they had kids, or ask them to order extra food for themselves when we had office lunches, etc. I let them make copies on the office copier if they needed it for their school or their kids' school. I let them take pencil, paper, staples, etc. for their kids' school supplies. I was known as the nice lady boss. I encouraged a couple of them to enroll in night school and better themselves. I feel no guilt whatsoever. I stole thousands of dollars to make my life better and I helped many people in return. Edit, for all the saints who have tried to berate or guilt trip me, I would do it again and again if I was back therein. Tofu by calling a smoothie bowl fat. Asterisk, this happened a few weeks ago. My husband and I frequent a smoothie place on the weekends after working out. A few Saturdays ago, as per usual, we stopped by to get our post-workout snack. They know us enough that we all clearly recognize each other when we go in, and our order is always the same, a smoothie for me and a smoothie bowl for my husband. We saw our order was almost ready, so we walked towards the counter as the lovely, larger, lady making our smoothies was trying to put a lid on my husband's bowl. As I got closer, I noticed she had really hooked it up and had loaded the bowl to the brim, so I said, "Ooh, she's a fat one." But then the lady suddenly looked a bit flustered and I thought it was weird but shrugged it off, and as we grabbed our goods and turned to leave, I could see my husband was fighting for his life, and when we got outside he insisted that the lady thought I was calling her a fat one, not the smoothie bowl. I was mortified but couldn't get myself to go in and clarify it with her, so we drove away, and now my husband will periodically say, "She's a fat one." To me and crackle as I shrink in horror, loudly crying face. I am further mortified by the fact that we have literally not seen her working since, and I seriously hope it wasn't because of that incident. TLDR, I called a generously portioned smoothie bowl a fat one, but the smoothie making lady thought I was calling her a fat one. She's been MIA since. Tofu by following a stranger home when I was 5. This was a long time ago. I was in kindergarten, so I'm 5. This was a different time. Cell phones didn't exist. When class is over, the kids are on their own. There's no supervision. School just let out and I'm outside waiting for my mom. It's gloomy out and looks like it'll rain any minute. I guess my parents never had that conversation with me about stranger danger and not going with people I don't know. This lady walks by me and goes, "Hey, I know your mom." I didn't recognize her, but she's like, "It's cold out, it might rain, you should wait at my house." Very insistent, so I end up going with her. She didn't live far from the school. She dropped me off, gave me a snack and then went back out. My mom had gotten to the school and was starting to panic because she couldn't find me, but then this lady showed up and took my mom to her house. I was lucky because she actually knew my mom. I could have just let myself get kidnapped. It's weird though because it's been decades since then and I still have no idea who that lady was. TLDR, followed a stranger to her house. Could have been kidnapped. Tofu by hitting on my married coworker. My coworker, a guy in his late 30s, is the nicest, funniest guy I have probably ever worked with. I was new to the job, and around a month ago he showed me around the whole place. Made jokes to lighten me up and overall made me feel so much at ease. During this month we became quick work friends, and he really helped me out in settling in. I was debating whether he liked me or not because he was very nice to me and went out of his way to bring me things such as extra coffee and things like that, so I just decided to take a chance and flirt with him at a work party. He doesn't wear a ring. I was slightly tipsy and definitely laughed a lot more than I would normally at his jokes, among other things, when a beautiful woman walked in apologizing for being late, and then they kiss and I immediately want to kill myself. I looked at him comically open-mouthed and said, "You're married?" He looked at me and he said, "Yes. Very married. This happened yesterday and I have to go back at work tomorrow." I know it isn't the end of the world, but it's quite mortifying. TLDR, I potentially made a great friendship awkward update. I will make this short. Went to work and did not see him until lunch, which was not very unusual. I think I was slightly awkward but tried really hard to not be awkward, but not sure how much that worked. I think I said something like, "Last night was crazy, how's your head?" or something, and he didn't mention anything at all about what happened. Although unlike some of you who said that he might not be aware of the flirting, I think he just gave me an out. I was extra careful to not show any hint of any flirtation, which might have made me seem weird. University might require me to room with an animal that I am allergic to. Location: Georgia, USA. I am a university student in Georgia. I moved into dorms on campus in August, and my bunkmate recently moved out. The university informed me someone else will be moving in, and her info blurb says she plans on bringing an animal. I am severely allergic to anything with fur, so I emailed the university to ask if they could get her a different room before she moved in. The university replied that they can't make her switch and I can apply to personally move rooms. This may take a while, and I am already settled in and friends with my suite mates. Do I have any grounds to stay in this room and the university have to move her instead? Or should I just move? Wife's ex died, now hounded by PIs and home foreclosure chasers. Why? Location: Illinois. My wife's ex-husband died 2 years ago suddenly, and to the best of our knowledge, he left no will and no instructions of any sort concerning his estate, which consisted mainly of a home. Est value $500,000. Later edit: he had no kids, had never remarried, and was somewhat estranged from his family. Upon their divorce 30 years ago, instead of splitting things, she received a cash settlement and he kept the house and everything else except some personal items that she took. She had not had any contact with him for the 30 years since the divorce. She married me and we have been living happily ever after for 20 plus years. All of a sudden, over the last year or so, since the ex died, we have been deluged with letters, phone calls, and even cold calls from private investigators and fortune chasers of some type who say there is money coming my wife's way since her dead ex's home had no heirs, and went into foreclosure and was sold to a flipper via a tax lien sale by the county. We have chosen to stay away, feeling that she has no legal right to any proceeds from anything having to do with the dead ex, considering they divorced cleanly, had not been in contact for decades, and he left nothing to indicate she was any type of beneficiary to anything he ever had. And he had no reason to leave her anything as the divorce was pretty acrimonious. What am I missing here? This has been going on for over a year, and a week doesn't go by where one of us doesn't get some type of solicitation from one of these people. They have even contacted our other family members out of state trying to weasel their way to talk to us. We have thus far ignored them, as we think it's some type of scam.